The FNAF 2 movie just came out, so to celebrate, I'm making a book nook based off of the restaurant, specifically, The Office. So here's the plan. I've broken the project up into 5 steps to make it easier to finish. Making the base, adding details, making animatronics, painting, and adding electronics. So let's get started. Okay, so to start off the build, I modeled and 3D printed an outer shell acting as the main structure for the book nook. It locks in all the proportions and gives the final product cleaner outer edges. Okay, so now that the shell is done printing, I can start work on the actual office. I'm using different kinds and thicknesses of foam to make sure I get the most accurate look. And for the floors, I'm using this. It's called XPS foam, and it's used to make a bunch of different kinds of textures, but in this case, I'm making the square tiles on the floor of the office. Now, enough talking, let's get into a time lapse. Okay, so for the walls of the base, I'm not using foam like everything else. I'm going to use this thin cardboard just because I want to have as much room for the actual office. Okay, so I just finished the last 2 panels, and now it's time for the moment of truth, seeing if everything fits. Awesome, that is looking super good. You can actually kind of tell what it's supposed to be. Okay, so even though the walls are done, I'm not going to glue them in just yet, so it's easier to paint them later on. So now, I guess it's time to move on to step 2. Now, the FNAF 2 office has a decent amount of details, but the most prominent ones are the TVs and the desk, so that's what I'm going to work on first. For the TVs, I just used some more XPS foam, which I carved into the right shape. And for the table, I just used some more thin cardboard. In FNAF 2, you never actually see the chair you're sitting on in the office, so I'm forced to do a little bit of guesswork, but I found this awesome method and I think it's going to look really good. Once I finished the main details, I went back and added a few smaller details that will really bring the book nook to life, including some weathering on the floor. This is air dry clay, and it's what I'm going to be using to make most of the animatronics in this video, so I guess it's time to learn how to sculpt. And sculpting is a bit of a challenge, but after watching a few tutorials, I think I'm getting the hang of it. Other than the mask, everything for the puppet was sculpted out of clay, and this is what it wound up looking like. And there's a specific reason why it doesn't have any legs, which I'll get to later. Now, the only animatronic I have left to make is Mangle, and I'm only going to be showing the endo head just because I don't want the book nook to feel too crowded. Now that all the animatronic parts are done, we can finally move on. Painting was by far the longest step, but it was also the most fun because everything really started to come together. For the back wall and the floor, I used masking tape to get the right pattern. For this checkered section, I used some acrylic markers I got at Hobby Lobby and just drew in the pattern. Then I did a test run of everything I had painted just to see what everything would look like. For Withered Bonnie, I did this dabbing motion with a brush to make him look a little more furry. For the confetti on the walls, I just used the acrylic marker again and drew him in. Then, after I painted the TVs black, I used a silver dry brush to make them look more realistic. Then, I got to take off the masking tape on the TV screens, which is just a water bottle that I cut up and painted black. Now, everything is pretty much done being painted, and I can finally move on to electronics. So, the office has 2 main electronics, the ceiling light and the flashlight you use in the game. And for them, a while back my grandpa gave me this LED light kit, so I'm probably gonna have to dismember it to make the light functions. For the overhead light, I just wired up a super simple LED to a battery pack. Then, using the same concept, I added a limit switch to make the flashing flashlight effect. But to concentrate the light, I rolled up this piece of cardboard to make it more circular and just on the door. Now, pretty much everything is done, and I can finally assemble the Book Nook. So, by now you've probably noticed this big 2-inch gap beneath the Book Nook, and it's where I'm going to be keeping all the electronics and an access panel for the button to activate the hallway flashlight. Now, unfortunately, the Withered Bonnie animatronic I made is way too big for the office, so I'll just be mounting it on top. And with the final pieces in place, the Book Nook was finally done. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider subscribing if you would like to see next month's video.